Today's guest builds systems used by billion-dollar companies, but behind that success is a past most people wouldn't survive.
I'm glad that I was a very bad developer because guess what? I'm great at hiring developers.
At 13, he was taken by the police. He watched his mother cut her wrists, raised in an orphanage.
My mother was a beggar and I was the kind of dog. The dog is next to the beggar, you get sympathy.
No safety, no family, just survival.
The more hands you shake, the more money you make. We forget how simple that is.
This is Marcin.
Another adventure for the Vegas Voices podcast. Today we're at Green Valley Ranch, and we're joining an old friend of mine that I consider to be the closest thing to an international man of mystery that I could think of. Look at how the guy is dressed.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. This is Marcin Ruman.
Marcin Ruman, yeah.
Marcin Ruman is
it's hard to pronounce.
You don't know. Is it Marcin or Marcin?
People ask me, how do I pronounce your name? And it's Marcin in Polish. But I always tell people it's actually Marcin. So if you think about like we were marching here,
right?
It's just the easiest way to remember. So Marcin Ruman.
Dude, what are you doing in Green Valley Ranch? I mean, your company is a company that started in Vegas, and that's why you are now a Vegas voice today. But what are you doing today at Green Valley Ranch? What's going on over
thanks
here?
for having me. Loved living in Vegas. Obviously, I lived here because of some of our clients. One of them is Bradley with Lightspeed VT. I was just on his podcast here in Vegas over a month ago. And I came back because we have a client who does financial education. It's a publicly traded company. So 400 people here, and we're helping them with their systems, with their user experience, and with making their platform more effective and efficient for their end user.
And what you're talking about is software, right? Your company does software.
Emersoft is a web tech company at its core, obviously with the advent of AI, and we're gonna talk about it.
Correct.
We had to pivot, bro. The traditional software, I think it's pretty much done. If you look at a company like ours or any software developer with the advent of AI, first thing that comes to your mind in terms of pricing, is it premium or discount? How would you put the dollar value in your mind? Like premium on the software developer or discount? After post AI, like the advent of like ChatGPTs and.
I really don't know because I think it's just a tool that's going to amplify you. So I guess it's those who know how to analyze or those who know how to better do things and how to use. I'm gonna give you an analogy that I'm thinking about. So before people would plow, the soil would be like by hand, right? And when the plow got invented, everybody got freaked out and they're gonna take away all our farming jobs and whatever. I think software is still gonna exist. You're still gonna need it, but I think AI is gonna be a plow, right?
Totally.
Instead of a farmer.
Totally, but the farmers before, when you had when they invented the plow, now their value is discounted because there's a different method,
right?
New techniques, and new approach, and with that, new market emerges. So that's exactly what happens in our industry, and that affects every industry, which is overwhelming to a certain degree, but at the same time, for us, unfortunately, it's a discount. So if you think about software development and tech companies like ours, with the advent of AI, it's not a premium, not the instant, like the immediate premium, it's the discount. So the perceived value is discounted. So if before, let's say the contract was 100,000, now it's 50,000.
Right, but
we have to change, pivot, adapt.
Right, but it might cost you half of that to make it, right? So things change. I do get it.
Now we're talking.
Okay, cool, man. So we started off this conversation great. I want to bring you back to your story,
sure.
which is sort of remarkable. I looked you up. We really do a lot of research when we do these, and I like to look up people. And even though I know you and we've had a lot of interactions, I did not know your origin story until I went to the internet, right? So from a tough upbringing in Poland to building a thriving tech company across Europe and the US, give us a first short introduction of who you are today.
So today we are a web tech company, Emersoft.
Okay.
We operate in the UK mainly, and most of our revenues come from the US. And obviously we met in Vegas, just when I moved to Vegas. That's why I'm honored to be on this podcast. And I was showing Myers, a guy on our team that you just met, our podcast that we did 3 years ago. So I was doing similar thing, and I'm happy that I don't know if I could even pronounce some words on this podcast. That when I started listening and preparing for this one, and I'm like, oh wow, it's been a very, very long 3 years, but it brought me to today. I live in Florida, so just visiting Vegas now. And
so we'll give you a pass to be a Vegas voice because you started here. And because we did the first podcast I ever did, I did with you. So,
yeah, we have a sun pass. Like I don't know if you've ever driven in Florida. There are sun passes, like gates, when you're driving on the
like the tolls.
Like the tolls.
There's no such thing.
Right. So
we'll give you a sun pass.
Sun pass. Give me a sun pass.
You got your Vegas sun pass. It's all good. It's amazing. So, anyways, let's go back. So keep giving me that answer. Who are you today?
So short, 32-year-old owner of web tech company personally, and we have 25 people on board. We work with enterprise clients like Canon, Lightspeed here in Vegas. We work with clients in healthcare, clients obviously, and I'm here for another client, publicly traded company. Not gonna name the name because obviously in the finance world people don't want to mention names and things like that.
Totally cool.
But if anybody checks my stuff online, they will know. And we started as kind of just seeing whatever sticks, just throwing spaghetti on the wall, to now working with companies. We just actually partnered with a $5 billion company, and now we're even serving the book industry, which is crazy. So
you said book industry?
Book industry, yeah.
Okay. How is that happening?
A lot of industries, because of AI and technology, they go through disruption. So they look for businesses like ours to help them with the digital transformation. And also, this is why I got the green card here. So when I applied for the green card, I applied for, basically with exceptional abilities in a national interest. And that's the green card that I got. And that was, the thesis was to come to the US and bring the skills of tech and software development in order to help with the digital transformation.
It takes a big character to be able to get that type of permit in the States. Probably if you would have tried at these times, it wouldn't have happened. Crazy, huh?
It's so funny. I was just talking to someone at lunch. He had a motorcycle accident, spent 2 months in the hospital, almost died. The guy almost died. And I told him, we are blessed. Like, I wake up every day and I'm genuinely blessed. Because not only things like the green card, imagine I came here through Mexico, which we can talk about this story.
Yeah, we'll go back to that origin story. I do want to get your origin story.
Yeah.
I did read into it, and I think it's fascinating, and it'd be
I think I'm
awesome
blessed.
for the podcast guests to know.
Right now I think I'm blessed. I'm blessed, own a tech business. I'm in the investment world. We're doing pretty well right now and growing. It's challenging, of course, but it's definitely the best. I've never been happier, more fulfilled, and what do you call it? To a certain, when depending, there are multiple spectrums of success. What's success? Some people have millions of dollars and they're not successful. They're drug addicts. they're not healthy. Some people are healthy, they have six packs and they have no money. Some people, I was talking to another gentleman today, his wife got a tumor, head tumor. The doctors gave her 50% chance she's gonna live.
That's
like,
just life, man.
I'm like, oh my gosh.
Look, man, this is the way I
I'm
see
blessed.
it. We're blessed.
We're blessed.
In a certain way. We've all had our challenges, right? I was close to death at a point, and I think this thing we call life is just one big video game in which we choose a character with certain flaws, with certain abilities, with certain tendencies and proclivities, and everybody's gonna get dealt a different hand, and that's just what it is, right?
The operative word is we choose.
At a certain level, right? But when we're here, it doesn't seem like it.
Right.
But I mean, we can go down a huge rabbit hole, but given that rabbit hole, let's go on your character. So you spent your childhood in an orphanage in Krakow, right?
Correct.
In Poland, after facing a lot of abuse and family instability. How did growing up under those circumstances shape your worldview and drive? Especially now that you're saying that you're blessed, I bet you those times you probably didn't feel that way.
It's so funny because those were the best times in my life. It takes a little bit of time to process. And when you go and you spend 15 years working on yourself and adding value to the society, you look back and you're like, wow, it's literally those were the best times, because those times were defining for what's now. And but without the bad, there is no good, and you it's kind of blurry because you can't distinct. So always, let me go back to this gentleman who almost died in the motorcycle accident, spent 2 months in the hospital. The guy, very, very young guy, he told me, Marcin, I appreciate life. I came back to faith. He was a believer, but he didn't know. Young guy. And basically we're having lunch, and I'm like, wow, it's I like, if you guys can spend with, go to hospital or spend time with someone who's had this life experience, then it changes something in you, because you get to appreciate. So it's also a trick that I use every day. Like I just feel so blessed. I don't know, not because I drive a, how do you guys pronounce it? A Porsche. Porsche. Not because I drive a Porsche, not because, I have a successful business, but maybe because I'm healthy, but maybe because I'm here in the United States, but maybe because I have people like you, that there's a relationship, and I can always come back to Vegas, and maybe I'm broke, maybe I need maybe I need shelter, and I always can pick up, the phone or knock on doors, and Sergio, hopefully he's gonna open, so I have a friend, and but again, it took that 15 years from the orphanage and from all those, from the abuse, and I was growing up in a post-communistic country, and
it's hard to fathom, right? Because here things are so easy, but
here it's all about convenience,
Right.
And so the answer is contrast. When you get the contrast, so life death experience. Mm-hmm. Mine wasn't life death, but it was very challenging. It was character building. It was like, I call it the best school of life. And only then, it's so easy to be blessed and appreciate. Of course, I wake up 5:30, 5:45, and I cuddle in my bed sheets, and it's so warm, and I'm like, no, I don't want to wake up today. It's so, you just don't want to, leave your bed. But, I wake up day by day, day by day, day by day, And I leave the warm bed sheet and I go to work, and I'm grateful that I can add value to other people.
Very good. Take us back to those days. Give me a little anecdote of how those days were in comparison to
Sure. So
to
we
how
were
you live today.
very, very poor. Long story short, because we have 30 minutes or something. My mother
It's
was
okay. We have all the time in the world here.
Okay, so I don't want to make the story too long. So it's so funny. I'm just gonna put another sort of interject another anecdote. I had a dinner with someone in Florida, and she tells me, "Oh, you practiced." I'm like, "Practiced? What do you mean practice?" And she tells, "Oh, because you tell the story so many times, so it's practiced." And I say, I really don't want to tell this story. Like, it's not that it's funny. Like right now, I've said this story. I've said this story so many times, and I've repeated this story over and over again. But it's not from the perspective of a victim. It's not from the perspective of vulnerability in a way that I haven't analyzed it. And it's it is therapeutic, but it's processed. And when it's processed, it means that it's easy you have clarity of why you tell this story strategically. And that story is very factual. And the story is, my mother was a beggar. She was going in front of a church and asking for money, and I was the kind of dog, when the dog is next to the beggar, you get sympathy and you get more money. So I was this kind of dog, but as a child. I was going with a play card, and there was this guy, he was a doctor. And I remember to this day, he would come out pretty much every morning, and he would give us a few dollars every morning. And it's something clicked, and I'm like, I am a kid. This is not a bad world. There are good people. But what I saw when we came back, home, my mother, she had a partner, and he was abusive, alcoholic, butcher, a psycho. And then I see the dark side. And then, you just see, you look at the macro scale of the world, maybe as a kid even, because you hear different, news and sickness, death, and all of that. But obviously as a kid, it's very local. Like whatever happens at home, it's, like I've never had like a true family. It's been always, alcoholism, physical violence, and it was very, it was tough. We were poor, alcoholism on top of that, and like no education whatsoever. And I said that I'm never gonna, until I'm 18, I'm never gonna touch any, joints. That's what my friends were doing. No drugs, no joints, no alcohol, and I never touched any of that. So I always laugh and I say, my parents, we were talking about the framework, that you have a framework for a podcast.
Yes.
So my parents gave me something. They taught me what not to do. And that's a lot.
That is a lot.
Because you've excluded already like half of the shit that you're not gonna go to. Because I can tell you, I know very successful people, people that are, moderately successful, people that are, depending how you measure that, and they all have dramas. All of them. It doesn't matter. I mean, I have my dramas. Everybody has dramas. So it doesn't really matter. And I've learned what not to do. And that was the biggest lesson from that.
Sometimes I think that our biggest teachers are the people that do us sometimes the most harm, in a way.
Totally.
And I think, yeah, because I can look back at every occasion in my life that somebody did me a harm, and it made me make a decision precisely of what not to have, right? I love it, man. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, for sure. And I can also add, it's harm and pain can be good as well. Like when you go to the gym, it's conscious pain.
Yes.
So it's good.
Or the cold plunge. Do you cold plunge?
I don't know.
I love cold plunging, man. I have my little
Is it
thing
good?
in the house. Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. And it's like the pain, right?
I need to try that. I mean, so many people do it, and I've never. If you were my neighbor and you had it, I would have tried it. Like I would try it. But if I need to, go and what do you call it? Take a ice bath or something like that. I don't know. I just don't see the need that I need to consciously inflict that kind of pain.
Okay.
Because there's so many other type of pains that
you can do, right?
Yeah.
Everybody chooses their poison.
Yeah.
So you discovered web development. We're gonna jump in the timeline now. You discovered web development at a young age. When did you realize that coding and technology could be your ticket out of that hardship, and how did you stay focused on that dream?
Yeah, great question. At 13, I get into the orphanage. Police came to our house. My mother was, drunk. Her partner, who was abusive, he's in prison right now. Mm-hmm. But not right now. No. Like at that time. Mm-hmm. So he went into prison for basically abusing us, physical violence and all the stuff. I'm not gonna go into. I mean, I can give you some stories and make it more graphical to the point where, for example, my mother was cutting her veins in front of me, or pretty much hanging herself. So how does that impact you as a 6-year-old? Like that's tough. And now think about next day you go to school and you have bricks in your backpack, and the bricks are from this guy who is with your mother, is abusive and is kind of psycho, and he tells you you're gonna have bricks, and if you remove those bricks on the way to school or anywhere, and I notice you and I'm gonna follow you, then I'll beat you to death, or punish you, and you're not gonna leave you're not gonna leave the house for the next 6 months. And then when he says that, you're not leaving for you're punished for literally a month at home with the alcoholism, with violence every day. It's like on repeat. It just does not stop. Until I'm 13, the police comes, to this house. And I was even thinking, what happened with my stuff? Because I forgot really. I was so in shock. Like they took us, and they just, it was like custody first.
Yes.
Before the judge decides what orphanage you're gonna go into. And sometimes, like bad kids, they stay in the custody for the bad kids, where you have more abusive environment. It's like a prison system. But anyway, so 13, I was blessed. I was placed in a very good Catholic orphanage with Catholic nuns in Krakow, Poland. And they sent me to a Google Serve because they see me, a decent guy, wants to learn, which again, the orphanage was kind of closed system, just like a prison. So when I got there, now you have other kids that are older than me. I have a guy come to my to the room with other kids, and they beat me up. So I pissed my pants on. So I was pissing my pants on my childhood, and I pissed my pants in the orphanage, and they spit at me, and because you're new to this environment. So it took me like a few years. But anyway, so the people in the orphanage, they're like, oh, this is pretty, a smart guy. Let's send him to this Google Serve program. So Google Serve only selected 2 or 3 people maybe from the whole orphanage, from hundreds of kids. So I was very honored, and I went into a Google office at 13, and that inspired me so much. I started asking them questions, how much they earn, and they took us for 2 months. It was the vacation period, and they took us under their wing, and I had the opportunity to spend 2 months, and I'm like, I'm gonna become a software developer.
Wow.
And from there,
that was your ticket out.
That was my ticket out. They wanted me to stay, to go to the university, and I said, no. 18 years old, I'm done.
Oh, so at 18 you can go. You can.
18, yeah, you're
Okay.
free to go. And
Very
I left.
nice.
The day I turned 18, I left, and I said, sisters, and I don't know, I have maybe 100 sisters, Catholic nuns praying for me now. They said, Marcin, we're gonna pray for you. And yeah.
Dude, have you gone back to that environment?
I have not, no.
That'd be legend, man.
But I have gone to other orphanages. I help kids from orphanages. We get on Zooms. I buy them books. Would love to do more of that. That's my actually life mission. When you think what really matters, for now I'm focused on business, on my family. I'm 32 years old, so single ladies, you can get, you can.
Dude, prime time. Prime
That's
time.
right. That's right. How old are you, Sergio?
I'm 48, my friend. I'm 48 years old. Even though it doesn't seem like it, but
Yeah.
I'm 48.
Congrats, by the way, on your. I know there's a lot of things that have changed in your life as well, since personally, since we were recording. So, but anyway, so left the orphanage, and then I had the vision already. I've started building this vision and went to London. Finished the IT school in Poland. That was my first milestone ever. That I was like, wow, I can graduate from a technical school. Not Ivy League school, whatever. But for a kid like me, that's from a environment where nobody has ever finished university. I graduate from a 4-year technical school with a degree in IT.
Okay.
It gives me something already. Obviously, nobody. Very soon I realized when I go to the real world, nobody cares about your degree. But I was a hustler. I was a street guy, so I had 3 jobs. So I was I was a bartender. I was a DJ. I was coding websites for my school and for my teachers and for small clients that I could find. So I was instinctively, I had to work on it, but sales and connection with people, it was like I felt like a fish in the water. When you put me in front of a desk, I love working on, I have to respond to emails, and so I spend a lot of time in front of my computer or phone, like we all do nowadays. But at the end of the day, the human connection and sales and just growing an organization, that's what I found that I really excel, and that's where that's my aquarium, so to speak.
That is amazing, man. And I've heard you tell these stories in so many different ways, but you told it in a very, very different way. And I consider
I'm practiced.
Yeah, you're practiced.
Officially.
It doesn't matter because it's your truth, man. So
I call it facts.
right.
It's facts, and when you speak from facts, you have. I can go back to this conversation. So that person that I met, we were sitting in Florida. It's beautiful, the wind's blowing, and we're sitting outside of a very, very cool place in St. Pete, Florida. And I say, we were talking about to what point do you tell this story where it's practice and you want to evoke something by design, so to speak. But I know it's so factual that I know it evokes. It has to evoke. And some people will connect with me on the victim level because someone has been through that. Someone will connect with me on the level of, oh wow, this guy has actually, this guy has been through some shit. I was on Brad's podcast and I said, Brad, you have guys, and I know those guys. And I've known many of them here and not only here, multimillionaires, the guy made 5 million, 7 million, he's 25 or 1 million. And great guys, by the way, great guys. And I think they're very successful and I always learn from them, always. And so I'm not a hater, but every time I tell them my story, they're like, I didn't know that about you. So, that's my excuse. If I have one excuse only, it's like I'm just speeding up because for the last 5 years, I had brakes on. not just psychologically, not just in terms of the environment, not just in terms of like I had to settle down and go through pretty much 3 continents in order to get here. And when you finally get to a place where you're like, I feel like home. Someone posted today, and I reposted on my Instagram, the guy said, without a habitat, it's, what he said? He said something that it's really hard to really know what matters. And so like you have to have a base and foundation. Once that foundation is, and you're like, wow, this is like, I've never felt like home. And now it's the first time that I've felt like home, like not only in terms of the country, but also Florida, St. Pete, where I live now. It's so beautiful, it's like paradise. I wake up every day and I'm like, God, thank you for whatever blessings. And I have beautiful community, great people around me, mentors and business partners. And I think that's another thing that it's just so interesting that I've never been able to like kind of go astray. Someone, somewhere, I don't know, God, whatever you want to call it. I don't know, but some sort of guidance. I've been blessed with really good people that that I have access to. Just like yourself, I said, when I ever become broke or I come to Vegas and maybe I gamble all my money and my future ex-wife ditches me, I'm gonna knock on Sergio's door and Sergio will open. And then imagine you have 1,000 Sergios like that.
Hey man, welcome.
You have friends that you can always, good friends, that will always help you and open the door and record a podcast with you, spread the word, and just spend time with you. So,
dude, thanks for sharing all that. I find we're very kin spirits in a couple of things. You mentioned you do like computers, you're into it. I'm pretty much like that, but I also like connecting with people. I need that.
Yeah, I know you're very, what do you call it, metaphysics on this
metaphysics and spiritual, and I think about life at other dimensions and higher stuff. Most of people that are close to me think I'm an alien, but
why is that?
That doesn't matter. Because I don't know, I see things, I see life at like 4 or 5 dimensions, and I can pretty much predict.
What are these? Teach me, educate me.
Teach me, educate me. I don't know, man. That's a whole conversation in itself.
So like if you were to like give me a ChatGPT, give me a summary in 4 paragraphs.
There's a lot of common denominators to human behaviors. If you want to use something, for example, a good framework would be the 25 cognitive biases. I own that website. I find them fascinating. But people are, number one way in which people are motivated is reward bias, right? So if you can read, for example, what's the reward in it for this person at 3 or 4 levels, you can pretty much predict where they're going to end up or how they're going to act towards you, right? There's so many ways. But yeah, it's kind of a study and a gift, right? But anyways, and then, what you were saying, you like computers and I like people too. For me, my connection has been this podcast because it gives me the chance to get together with different characters, right? With different people that are awesome and that deserve to be a voice. So that is my outlet. So I find a lot of akin, and then now I understand why we get along so well, even though we've only coincided and talked for a few times through time. But also like having the contrast of being an immigrant and fighting to get your place in the best playground in the world for what we do, which is business, digital stuff, money. And there's no better playground than where we are, right? Vegas, correct. Florida, Texas, I guess. I don't think there's a better playground. But some people just got put in the playground, and we had to earn our right to be in that playground. And there's, you found your way, I found my way, but it's a very similar journey. So I really respect that, and it takes it takes that immigrant spirit to be able to understand it, right?
Yeah, the way I look at what you've just described is, I love this analogy. It's very graphical. It's all about the environment, and I have two analogies. So one is, I'll tell you only one because we don't have that much time. So one is, imagine an anaconda, a big snake. In Venezuela, they only grow up to 3-4 meters. In Brazil, they grow up to 10, 12 meters. So what's changed? The environment.
Okay.
So same fish or snake, the environment changes. So that means when you change the environment, for example, take a flower, take a plant. What does it need to grow? Someone to water it, needs some light, someone to take out the weeds, and the plant is gonna grow. Yet people make it so complicated. They don't take out the weeds, distractions, laziness, procrastination. We all know those are weeds. We all know that. And watering, new information, new people, new relationships, inputs, and the light as well. So that could be being in the United States, for example.
Exactly.
You have access to light in a way.
Yeah.
You're in a bigger aquarium, like this anaconda from Venezuela and Brazil.
Correct. And at the end, it's all a big video game. It's all a simulation, right? We can agree on that. So let's go back a little bit to you and your story. When did you officially found Emerson, and how did it transition from being a small freelancer to enterprise level software solutions?
Yeah, so started back in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
We had one employee, and he's sitting right in front of you here.
Super cool.
And then we had 2 employees, contract with Canon, the camera company. And then we had 10 employees, then we had 20 employees, then we moved, expanded here in the US. And that's the chapter where we are right now. So really focused on the US market, and then I set the very solid ground foundation. Because without that, like if you have so many strangers and you change, I see those people traveling and they're like, oh my God, I'm gonna be in Japan. I have friends like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I'm going to Buenos Aires. Oh my God, I'm going to I'm going to Uruguay. I'm flying to Hong Kong, and I've been to those places. But do you know what's the one common denominator that I found? I travel, and I'm like, okay, so what? Or I had, a few girlfriends, in the past, and you go from one girlfriend to another girlfriend to another girlfriend, and like, what's the meaning? Why am I here? What's my, like, the habitat that the guy mentioned? What's my environment? And for the first time, like Sergio, in my life, I've never felt like home before. Like literally, St. Pete is just so beautiful. And obviously that's the foundation. Without the foundation, you can travel, you can, look for the, grass is always greener, and you're gonna go through girlfriends, and you probably have friends like that too, because we're, living this Instagram, Tinder world where, it's just a different game. But it's accessible and it's cheap. And I just found it not to be productive because, when you have strangers and even you go to strange places, it's cool, it's exciting, like with a new girl, but are you building something? Is it really deep? Or is it just funny? So anyway, maybe I'm getting old.
So how have you found that building something that's not funny in your business, right? Because that's basically your child.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, like definitely, it's a huge part of my life. I would say it's my dedication. My child, it's a project, if you want to look at it, in a way. But I can always sell the business. Like I don't, I probably wouldn't sell my child, but you can always sell the business, and it, like when you're in the business, you know that 80% of pretty much every business is the same thing, and then you have just different services, but every business works exactly the same. 80% at least, probably, of the mechanics. You need what? Capital. Every business needs capital, and resources, and people and money, and technology. Yeah, you leverage technology too. So you guys can go to Emersoft.ai. It's a shameless plug.
Yeah, that's the point, man. Talk about you. Talk about what your experience.
What were you asking? What the question was? You asked me.
The question was the story of your company, how it became what it has become, right?
Right. So from one guy, 2017, I'm in London, traveling the world. I lived in Spain as well, and I don't know what I really want. To getting first contracts with Canon, and then growing. I get my first employee, Pavel, who is my awesome business partner. Pretty much every deal that we go into, we do deals together. And I found this, that it's not really your employee doesn't need to be an employee. It could be a business partner. The guy that you meet here for the podcast could be your business partner. People, like just, don't force it. Like as long as you're showing up, you're in the environment. So this is my first employee. I did not force it. I was seeking a cool, someone cool to join our team because we were growing, and then the guy stays with us this day. He's a shareholder, and we do every deal. So all the ups and downs, we've been going through it, and it's like family, to a point where you trust each other, and it's meaningful then, because you need to have a team, and now you get to the team, and how do you build a team? Well, again, you talk to people, you shake hands. The more hands you shake, the more money you make. I love this saying. I always repeat that because we forget how simple that is. You can go into your 4 dimensions, and we can go to metaphysics, and I can go into my story, become a little kid, victim. But at the end of the day, the more hands you shake, the more money you make.
I remember that, and that's very true. That's very true. How do you consider yourself as a developer? Are you like top notch, or you're more like a person, and then you know how to find great developers and set out the vision?
Oh, I didn't touch any. I was a bad developer. Okay. If I was a good developer, I would probably be still a developer.
Okay.
And I'm glad that I was a very bad developer, because I worked harder, and it forced me to find my place. And I knew it's not, for me personally, that's not development. But guess what? I'm great at hiring developers. So.
And you know what to look for.
Yeah, totally.
And I think it's more like the vision, because I remember when I met you, I've been seeing you go through building CMRs, doing e-com sites, doing web apps, and now like all the AI trend that you're taking.
Full AI now.
Exactly, yeah. And I think you're in the right place. But you were always developing something, or going to companies and seeing what they don't see, and seeing holes and gaps and where there can be leverage. And you sell that vision, even though like maybe they're oblivious to it, that a digital experience can change things. How, like, and that's the hustle, right? And it always changes because it's technology. Like right now, you're not gonna build a WordPress website because it's such old technology, Webflow or whatever it is these days.
Correct. Yeah, Framer, Webflow.
Yeah, I don't care. And in 10 years, it's gonna be something else. But as a software company, like it's like Emersoft, just solutions. You're selling solutions,
totally.
Right? And
absolutely, and that great point. This is probably the best point that you made in this whole podcast, because again, I said my story over and over again. But for anyone listening now, what you just said, we're experiencing in our business, and we see the same thing our clients experiencing, and you probably see your clients experiencing exactly the same transformation right now. And we're not an exception to this huge transformation that's happening right now, and it's at the speed of light. And anybody, and I was just talking to my friend today, and I told him, if you're just in a developer mindset, and a lot of software developers, they think that they're still software developers. Code. No, you need to find a solution. So you're becoming now a product engineer, not just a software developer. 10 years ago, you could be just a software developer. Now you have to kind of know what's the market, what's the end client. You have to become kind of a product engineer right now and know what are the solutions on the market fit for purpose for this specific client. It's not too, maybe if I go back 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, software in general was broader. Now we have solutions architects, product engineers. Great highlight or just something that you've noticed?
Great, right? What do you mean?
I like that you picked up on this specific thing.
Yeah.
Because it's so, again, very important.
And what I'm thinking, we're such, in our industries, in digital industries, you're such in the cutting edge, and most people that deal with us, they think we know everything or we know the solution, and actually you're selling them the belief, and you're in your head, you're
totally.
Like, it hasn't been done, and you don't know if it can be done, and you're selling the belief of something that is actually doesn't really exist in the world. It exists in the digital world, in our minds, in our perceptions, but that's our business. I would take it one more step. Not only a solution, you're selling the belief in the solution.
Oh yeah.
Because you don't know, like when you start a new big project, you don't know how it's gonna end up. I mean, you make it happen because of your character, but it's that belief and you gotta be really good at sales for that. And I think that's where
that's where credibility comes, and again,
right.
shaking hands.
And you prove yourself, right? Because you've done it in the past.
Correct.
But like the first website, I still remember the first. I didn't know if I was gonna finish it.
But the times were different as well.
Yeah.
So great point. And I would also add that. And again, I had this conversation today. I had so many again, woke up at 2 a.m. Flew in here, and so it's been probably like 15 hours, more than 15, 18 hours. But I had this chat with someone today, and I told the guy, because he wants to be a software developer. So he asked me, what do I do? And I said, you have such an advantage because you're becoming a solution engineer right now. You look for solutions, and then you can go and pitch to a client, as you said, the belief, whatever you want, the solution. Glued solution from the pieces that already exist, and you can leverage AI, but you need to become an expert in those solutions. That's another level to this digital transformation that I see with AI now.
Digital transformation. All right, let's dig into that, because I know you really wanted to dig into AI. I want to know your whole perspective.
It's so funny because when we started, you said I have this. What did you say? I have my custom agent, GPT, whatever you called it, framework for this podcast.
Oh yeah, this podcast is completely supported by AI, but it's like it's second nature, because because we're in it, we don't see it. It's like fish; they're in water, right? We're always in the group of first adopters, right?
Right, but that's the essence. For example, I have a cold email system.
Right.
Do you think someone manually checks all the emails and labels them, do not contact, book a meeting? AI does that all. If you respond to one of our cold emails, AI reads it first, not human beings.
And they'll get you to wherever they need to get you.
And they label your response, and then human being intervenes and redirects you.
And one of the things that I was hearing in the Tom Bilyeu show is that there's this saying of, this is the worst that it's gonna be. Because it's amazing right now, and this is the worst that it's gonna be. It's always, no, that's what they say about AI. Think about it, listen to me. This is the worst it's gonna be. So it's gonna be better. So right now it's good. So this is the worst that it's gonna be, right? It's just gonna get better.
It's just gonna get better.
Yeah, it's an upside down type of thing.
Right.
But yeah, man. So let's keep going on AI. So what do you see? What do you see in the horizon? What do you see beyond the horizon? I want to know your perspective, man. Because
agents.
Okay.
A lot of agents, as you said. So you would have podcast agent, AI agent. So whatever people think, what's an agent? Agent is kind of like think about it as an app. But you can create like a micro app for different tasks or functions. And that app is infinitely smarter than any app that you have pretty much already on your phone, which is crazy to think that before it took a lot of time to develop some sort of business logic and an app, and now you can have one agent which is again like a micro app that does a specific thing, i.e. it takes, so Sergio, for example, interviews a guy like me, puts his website, puts his name, the agent goes automatically, boop, to the website, boop, to the LinkedIn, boop. You just put probably some information like, hey, here are a few pointers, and then boom, 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 boom. The agent automatically researches, gives you a summary, and probably even like prints, the whole script for you for the podcast.
The whole questions, everything that I need to ask.
And
it never goes according to
of
script,
course.
But it gives a flow into the conversation.
Totally. Yeah. So imagine when I did my first 150 episodes, human being was doing that still, manually. So that's probably the most graphical, and that's why I was so excited when you mentioned that at the beginning of the podcast. I'm like, oh, we have to talk about it.
So let's go beyond that. Do you see that there could be any AI doomsday scenario? What's your perspective?
I'm a pretty positive guy. I think there's so many. I would love to have a robot. Like, wouldn't you want to have a robot to go and clean your house or?
Oh, of course, man. We're already planning out how we're gonna finance our Optimus robot, right? It's gonna be like 35 grand. It's gonna be like having a car. Right? Everybody's gonna want to have a car. Like,
totally. So I'm more. I see the glass full, but from the we've always the history. We had wars. We have wars, and we will have wars. Unfortunately, with this, this technology that is, brutal and very precise as well.
What do you mean? Like, for example, drones and like AI warfare? Okay.
Yeah, very precise, and from the what's the word, sentient, like. If AI will attack us, I think it will take probably still a lot of time, because I can tell you, I still have calls. I couldn't even make a call on the plane when I was flying here. You still, like you think, you remember when we were talking about the metaverse?
Yes.
Everyone thought it's gonna be metaverse.
Right.
I was trying to call a friend in London, and we were dropping off constantly because the internet. And I'm like, we want to go into metaverse, and the internet is like, I can't even talk to a guy in London because the connection is breaking. What kind of metaverse are you talking about?
That's true.
So I think this is it's
gonna take time.
It's gonna take time.
Right. I think, like, touching on that, I think the metaverse is gonna start in augmented reality glasses. I think that's gonna be the most accessible, because one of the things. I listened to Scott Galloway, and he was saying that he could predict the flop of the glasses that encapsulate you, and that is just because it violates, like the encapsulate, like the Oculus and the Apple one, and which one. There are several ones like that, but the ones that hit your whole, they are obstructing a certain place. I don't know exactly how to explain it, but this is kind of how I'm gonna butcher it. There's a place here that as humans instinctually we need to have clear for our survival and our perception of the environment.
It's kind of like a car, maybe the blind spot. You know, when
Correct.
when you have in a car, when you're driving, you have this kind of light, and that's kind of, I think, the same. With
this part, the temporal lobes,
because it's close to our eyes, so we wanna, maybe because of what do you call it, peripheral view.
Right.
That's what you call it.
Yeah. So inhibiting that in a person, just it's like a base. You're going against our basic biology. So, and I experimented when I used the Oculus or any virtual. I'm puking. I think I'm old, or like why kids get used to it so much. But I can't stand it. I can't stand being on virtual reality. It always makes me sick. So I think that the technology on that side, I don't think, like you said, it's gonna evolve that way. But we already use glasses.
Correct.
And in glasses you can put
cameras,
sensors, and you can start putting in augmented reality and characters and stuff. And it's gonna be, So I think that's given that on the metaverse side of things, I think that's like the next step that I can see. After that, I really don't know. But that can become so many things, and Emerson's gonna probably be developing it.
Well, we'll see. I think this is becoming so broad as well, and you have so many different. Some of the roles are merging, some of the roles are splitting. The way I see that, and it just kind of ebbs and flows.
Yes, definitely. And that's what's exciting about the future. So a little cricket tells me about this big project that you have in your dream and that you've been projecting out.
What little cricket?
Some sort of CRM. Based on AI, and you're taking on the big boys. But I guess you probably want to. I don't know how much you want to talk about it, but I'd love to know a little bit more of that big project vision. Sure.
So we are a certified HubSpot partner, certified Salesforce partner. So we do implementations of big CRMs, and also go high level for smaller businesses. And we've noticed a huge gap with all those AI tools. Mm-hmm. There's so much fragmentation. You have tools. You have probably 30 tools that I can think of that are kind of AI more native, but those bigger tools like Salesforce and HubSpot, they're not AI native, and they're struggling from what I see. They're very good at their core function, but not at when it comes to AI.
What do you mean by native?
Native meaning that they didn't start with AI. They didn't start with their platform being original. Clay.com, for example, for data scraping. So Clay.com is a platform that is used for data scraping. You can scrape data, do AI enrichment. You can do that stuff in HubSpot, and you should be able to do that in HubSpot because it's your CRM. So what would you like to do? Enrich contacts in an easy way. You think that's possible and it's easy? No. Their AI, it's kind of like a slap, on top of the tool that's working, because when something is working, it takes.
It's legacy. It's the legacy problem in software.
Amen.
Yes.
Correct. The legacy debt.
Cool. So you're gonna go and break these legacy. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
So
we're looking at the deal. We're talking to investors. We had to slightly pivot now, but we get a lot of feedback. I hired a banker. We're talking to our advisors. We sold one of our products, SaaS products. So, I'm at the point now where we have resources, contacts, and now we have to just get this, get shit done and execute.
That's very cool. That's very, very cool. Well, good. But I can see that problem that usually softwares, and it happened to ClickFunnels with high level, and then
Yes, sir.
now it's gonna happen to them with AI. Man.
Totally.
Somebody's gonna come in natively with AI. Now I get what you're saying, and they have to put it on top of their legacy shit because
Correct.
they have so many users, they can't break it.
They can't break it.
That makes total sense, man. All right, this has been an honor. Let's just go into we have our rapid fire round.
Sure.
So we throw out 5 questions at you, surprise questions.
It's like yes,
They're all
no,
fun.
or like how does what am I allowed to, like, how long is the answer?
However you want. It's just rapid fire. We might even just go even deeper into it. But favorite tech tool that you can't live without right now?
I love Grok. Do you have Grok on your
No,
phone?
man.
That Elon Musk AI.
Turn me on to it. I want to know.
Just download it after the podcast.
Okay.
Grok.
So it's an app by itself?
Yeah, like
a native app.
ChatGPT,
Okay.
but Grok. Love it.
Okay.
Just playing a lot with it.
How's it different than ChatGPT right now? What do you see?
Different outputs, so maybe less politically correct.
Can you ask it to be anything? Can you upload like
You can try the romantic version.
Oh, you can ask it to be romantic.
You can. Don't use it on your wife, though.
Well.
I'm just kidding. That's a joke, but you can.
Yes.
They have different presets. That's my favorite tool so far in terms of like I'm exploring.
I'm gonna check it out.
Definitely.
Cool. Best advice you ever received about selling?
Great question. Success in sales is smile and dial. Smile and dial, meaning smile and go and shake hands, meet people, and talk to human beings. It's people.
And then the more money, the more hands you shake, the more money you make.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I didn't want to repeat the same thing.
Right, it comes from there. Yeah, it's pretty good. Where did you get it from?
Just overheard from people. I don't remember
It
exactly.
just became yours somewhere.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It's like, the more hands you shake, the more money you make. Bradley was saying that. Someone else was, but it's not his. But he, credit to him because he kind of populated it, and I picked it up as well. But I don't know where it came from exactly.
All right. One book you recommend for a strong mindset?
Bible.
Wow. Okay. Most impactful mentor or influencer?
I had many, so I can't say just one, because it will be a disgrace. I would be doing a disservice to all of the people. I've met so many people that helped me, and they didn't have to help me. They liked me. Somehow they saw more than they saw the potential that I had that I didn't see at that time. And you probably have the same thing. You see potential in people that they don't see, and I see potential in people that they don't see yet. And I'm like, wow, your age, you're like where you are in terms of like AI and what's happening in the world. You just have to go and execute. And I see that potential. And the people, the people that help me, sometimes, I also think you have to go and knock on doors. But then, the same story. So they see the potential, but then you have to go and show up to those places, knock on doors, talk to people. But it goes back to sales. So it's good that you ask the question about sales, and then you can, use it for mentorship, for relationships, for customers.
Thank you. That's a great answer. One word that sums up your journey.
I don't know if it's a journey. I know people love to use that. I know that. I don't know if it's a journey.
So what is it then?
That's the question. I want to leave you guys with this question. Is the journey, is the process? Is it
Game?
a game? Is it an experience? But I don't know if it's a journey. I know people love to say that it's a journey, But the journey is like, you go, ha ha, he, you know, like, oh, we're going on a journey, or we have a destination, you know. I don't know. I don't know if I like to call whatever it is a journey. What was the question? If it's
one word that sums up your journey.
okay, blessed.
Beautiful. Cool, Marcin. For anyone listening who might be facing adversity, whether financial, family struggles, cultural barriers, what core piece of advice do you hope they walk away with from your story?
No matter where you are, no matter if it's up and or down, or you know, you're stagnating, you woke up, and just the fact that you woke up, once I've realized that, it's, I don't know what kind of monetary value you can slap on waking up. Is it $1 billion? Is it 100 million? Is it 10 million? Whatever you price your, you know, what's your goal? Like, for example, let's say I give you 100 million and you're happy, right?
Yeah, of course.
And so
where's my 100 million?
Right. So exactly. But let's say you're not gonna wake up tomorrow. What are you gonna do with this?
So
100
would I
million?
exchange the 100 million for tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you need to slap
every day.
What's that?
Yeah, I'd change it every day. Right.
And once you switch that, there's nothing really. We can go into ChatGPT and start asking questions now, or, you know, or Grok or any other AI, since we're talking about tech and software. Once you realize that, that's 80% it's psychological, and 20% is mechanics, really, gimmicks, techniques.
Amazing. Just having the ability to wake up, you're just
Totally.
you're getting another chance at the game.
Yeah, how can you not be grateful? How can you not see that as a gift? How can you not wake up from, you know, like, you know, it's so warm and it's cozy and you know, you're getting another gift. Someone literally gave you whatever, 100 million, a billion, or maybe $1 million for someone. And you're choosing to lay in bed, comfortable, or you're choosing to complain, or you're choosing to victimize yourself. I think we're too intelligent for that. It's 2025.
Simple piece of advice, but powerful, my friend. Where can people learn more about Emerson, explore about you, or connect with you personally?
Yeah, sure. You can put Marcin Ruman. You can put Emersoft, EMERSOFT.ai, or Emersoft.co. You put my name on Google, you'll find me.
Yeah,
or if you put it on ChatGPT, you'll find me too.
We'll put your contacts in, man.
Yeah.
For sure. Thanks for opening up about your life and showing us that grit, curiosity, and that risk-taking can break the toughest barriers. Any final words for the audience?
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
I'm blessed that, you know, you took the time to come out and record, really.
Hey, that's what I woke up for today, man.
Sergio, appreciate you. Muchas gracias.
De nada.
Thank you.